Hey guys, this is your host Thomas Tyree here from On the Hot Podcast. Today, this will be episode 231 for you guys today. And to kick off this week's episode, I'll be sharing my NFL Week 8 game summary. So I'll be going over the biggest games, the biggest highlights, the biggest news that has transpired from Week 8 of the NFL season. So, kick things off here. We'll talk about the New York Jets as they finally picked up their first win of the NFL season. They defeated the Cincinnati Bengals by a score of 39-38. Now, I was pretty happy for the New York Jets. They won their first game of the NFL season. And to be honest, if you look at the slate of games that transpired in Week 8, this is actually one of the most competitive games throughout Week 8. From the Thursday night game, the Sunday slated games, the Monday night game, this was actually one of the most competitive games of Week 8. So I'm happy the New York Jets finally won a game. They are now 1-7 football team rather than the 0-8 team that they could have been. But Jets owner Woody Johnson, in my opinion, one of the worst owners in the National Football League, hands down. He was the one who came out the mouth and criticized Justin Fields for his type of production during the NFL season. Now, has Justin Fields played up to par? No, and I've said that behind the microphone on this podcast. But as a damn owner, you need to know your role and shut your mouth. You do the things behind the scenes to make this team good. And the fact that he wants to increase New York Jets ticket sales for 2026 season, even though the team is 1-7, no direction of being a competitive team anytime soon. But that's a different conversation for a different day as I digress about Woody Johnson. But Justin Fields played pretty good to put the Jets in position to win this ball game. They also won the game in the trenches with Breece Hall's dominant play at the running back position, 133 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. Actually threw in that trick play passing touchdown to seal the deal for the Jets to defeat the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday. But meanwhile, for the Cincinnati Bengals, this was a missed opportunity to close the gap in the AFC North. Now, we all know you're without Joe Burrow, but it seems like you can somewhat compete with Joe Flacco at the quarterback position. They were coming off that big win against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday Night Football. Now the Bengals are sitting at 3-5. And the AFC North, that gap is just getting closer and closer, closing in, because if they won this game, they would have been 4-4. You just saw the Steelers drop to 4-3. The Baltimore Ravens could possibly be ascending up the division now at 2-5 with an easier schedule at hand. I'll get to them in a few moments. But this was a missed opportunity by the Cincinnati Bengals to put away a team that you should have beat Sunday at home, not at MetLife, at home in Cincinnati against the New York Jets. Let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens here. They got back on track, defeating the Chicago Bears by a score of 30-16. Now, this was a big win for the Baltimore Ravens. They were on the cusp of a 4-game losing streak. And they played well on both sides of the ball, offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball. The defense really stepped up in Baltimore to help the Ravens improve to 2-5. Tom Monken did a really good job as the offensive play caller in this game, balancing the running game and the passing game. I thought he did a really good job. Tyler Huntley played well for Lamar Jackson. And honestly, it looked like Tyler Huntley should have been the starting quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens all along instead of Cooper Rush. As much as I like Cooper Rush for the work that he did for my own Dallas Cowboys being the backup for Dak Prescott, when I seen him go to the Baltimore Ravens during the offseason, it didn't really make much sense to me because he doesn't fit what the Baltimore Ravens like to do. Tyler Huntley isn't a Lamar Jackson, but you don't have to mix up the scheme or fix the scheme for a quarterback that's already a dual threat in your system. Cooper Rush is not a dual threat quarterback, and he never fit well in Tom Monken's scheme, so I never really understood why they stuck with Cooper Rush, because if you had started Tyler Huntley, you could have possibly been 3-4 at this point rather than 2-5, and that could have been a game that they won a few weeks ago against the Los Angeles Rams, where they lost that game 17-3. You start Huntley, that's a game you could possibly win with Puka Nacua going down due to an injury. But meanwhile, for the Chicago Bears, nobody knows if this is a good team or not. They sit at 4-3. Dennis Allen has coached his ass off. Former head coach of the New Orleans Saints has always been known for his defensive team. He has coached his ass off this NFL season, getting the Chicago Bears defense to play up to par thus far in the NFL season. But meanwhile, you look at the offensive side of the ball, Caleb Williams we are still trying to figure out who the hell he is in his sophomore year, because there has only been one elite game from Caleb Williams this season, and it was against the worst defense in the league in the Dallas Cowboys that can't stop a cold or anything like that. Other than that, I'm looking at these stats, guys. He only has one passing touchdown or less in the rest of his games started. And he did throw 4 touchdowns against the Dallas Cowboys. Every other game he's been average or mediocre. So we don't know who Caleb Williams is. To me, that's alarming. I'll touch up on this game real quick. The Texans defeating the 49ers by a score of 26-15. CJ Stroud not having his number one wide receiver, Nico Collins, lit it up on the stat sheet. 318 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, as well as number one wide receiver. Really good win for the Houston Texans to stay afloat or to possibly stay alive if they have true playoff aspirations for the NFL season. The New York Giants fell victim to the Philadelphia Eagles, losing that game by a score of 38-20. And I know my co-host Rob Sarasulo was sick to his stomach. It was an unfortunate game for the New York Giants. You lost your star running back in Cam Scatterbo, one of the most popular rookies this NFL season, with a dislocated ankle and more injuries that he suffered. Jackson Dart, the rookie quarterback from Ole Miss, is having a rough rookie season. I mean, he has to go the rest of the way without his number one wide receiver, Malik Nabers, that tore his ACL in Jackson Dart's first NFL start weeks ago. And then Cam Scatterbo is gone for the remainder of the NFL season. So it's tough to try to compete with your 2 best offensive players out of the lineup if you're Jackson Dart. But I'm being honest, guys, the refs did play a factor in this game between the Eagles and the Giants in their second meeting of the year. The tush-push fumble, that was complete bullshit. That was not overturned as a fumble. Kayvon Thibodeau clearly stripped the ball from Jalen Hurts as he was running with the ball. That should have been ruled a fumble. It wasn't, and the Eagles went down the field and put some points on the board. The offensive pass interference that got called with Quinyon Mitchell holding Slayton's hand, clearly holding his hand during the route. They were both hand fighting the receiver in the corner. Slayton got the better of Quinyon Mitchell on that rep, and that should have been ruled a touchdown, but it was called offensive pass interference, which is absolute bullshit, because both of those players were hand fighting. And the false starts not being called on the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line was atrocious as well. The missed field goal kick that was, the field goal that was kicked with the whistle being called in the middle of the kick, that should have translated into a missed field goal. The play was ruled dead in the middle of the kick. We got to do a better job officiating. This is unbiased because I hate both the Eagles and the Giants, just the Eagles a little bit more. But that was bad refereeing out in Philadelphia between the Eagles and the Giants. Absolute mess. I felt bad for Myles Garrett. Had a 5-sack performance against the New England Patriots. Went to waste because they got belt the ass by the hands of the New England Patriots. The Browns have one of the best defenses in football. And I said it a few weeks ago, if there was some continuity, if the Browns offense was at least decent, the Browns would be a really good football, not a really good football team, but a good football team. But Myles Garrett sacked Drake May 5 times on Sunday, and it resulted in a loss. Drake May still threw for 3 passing touchdowns against the Cleveland Browns in this game. Christian Gonzalez, one of my favorite cornerbacks to follow in the league, cornerback for the New England Patriots, played well. He was targeted 7 times, only allowed 2 catches for 3 yards, 2 forced incompletions, and allowed a 39.6 passer rating allowed in that win against the Cleveland Browns. But the Browns got to consider a quarterback change. They're heading into a bye week. I think this is the best time to let Dylan Gabriel sit because he's not that guy. He has a 25.8 QBR in his starts with the Cleveland Browns this year. They have a bye week, and then coming off the bye week, you play the New York Jets. And I think that's plenty of time for Shedeur Sanders to prepare for his first NFL start. I would do a quarterback change in Cleveland. This game makes me sick to my stomach. The Denver Broncos annihilating and dominating the Dallas Cowboys, winning that ball game 44-24. Now, this was complete domination by the Denver Broncos. It made me sick to my stomach. I nearly threw up in my mouth a little bit, but it was complete dominations that the Denver Broncos displayed on my Dallas Cowboys. That was a huge statement win for the Denver Broncos. Sent a huge statement to every other team in the NFL. But the Dallas Cowboys were outplayed and outcoached by the Denver Broncos in all 4 quarters of this ball game. I mean, Bo Nix lit it up. Even though he threw an interception in his first drive of the game, he has 247 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns. The Broncos ran the ball down the Dallas Cowboys' throat, were really dominant in the trenches as well because they ran the ball for 179 rushing yards as a team. But the Dallas Cowboys got punched in the mouth. This was a true belt-to-ass treatment that the Dallas Cowboys just received. I mean, Dak Prescott was in the MVP conversations coming out of my mouth, and he did not play well. He had under 200 passing yards, 2 interceptions in this ball game. Receivers were getting clamped up in man coverage. Jake Ferguson on tight end day did not come to show up to work. Didn't even get targeted once. 0 catches for 0 yards. I mean, the play calling for Brian Schottenheimer and decision makings were a little questionable. This is the only time that I've questioned Brian Schottenheimer as a play caller and a head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. But not being as aggressive, being a little too pass happy was an issue for me. The defense is just no hope. I mean, Kenneth Murray is the worst linebacker in football. I might as well suit up Monday night when we play the Arizona Cardinals at linebacker. I mean, every single week I talk about Matt Eberflus scheme. We rush 4, drop 6 back in coverage, and we're still getting beat 6-on-4 with 4 wide receivers running past 6 guys that we have in coverage, and they're still lighting us up like a Christmas tree. Until the Dallas Cowboys can find a recipe for success on the defensive side of the ball, this offense is going to go to waste. I don't even think a trade during the trade deadline is going to save this Dallas Cowboys defense, unfortunately. And the final game that I'll cover, the Green Bay Packers defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers by a score of 35-25 in a Sunday night game. Now, this was an impressive victory for the Green Bay Packers on the road playing in Pittsburgh. And the story of the game for that Sunday night game was the 2 quarterbacks dueling against each other, Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. Jordan Love used to be the backup quarterback for the Green Bay Packers until he took over for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was Jordan Love's mentor for the time that they spent in Green Bay. So you know these teammates wanted to get one up on each other. Former teammates wanted to get one up on each other. And Jordan Love was the one that answered the bell. He got the better of Aaron Rodgers. Threw for 360 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. Looked really in control during this game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The defensive line for the Green Bay Packers is going to take them far. Led by my former guy, Micah Parsons. And that pass rush that Green Bay has, they had Aaron Rodgers under duress and stressed him out throughout the game. And the defensive line took away the running game. There was no running game in sight for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So if you're going to take away the running game, they try to make Aaron Rodgers beat him. And that was a good recipe for success in this game Sunday. But I have a problem with the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. One, I can relate to this because this is the damn defense that I drafted in my fantasy team. Not only that, how the hell do the Steelers have the most expensive defense in the National Football League, but they are underperforming all year long, and they actually have the worst passing defense in the league defending the pass? Worse than the Dallas Cowboys, and this is the most expensive defense in the National Football League. If no adjustments are made on the defensive side of the ball for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they got some playmakers over there. There ain't no scrubs. T.J. Watt, Jalen Ramsey. There's players all across the board here. If there's no adjustments made, I feel like this team will finish at 9-8 and finish in second place in the AFC North, behind the Baltimore Ravens that have a favorable schedule, like I just touched up on. So some adjustments need to be made in Pittsburgh on the defensive side of the ball for sure, if they want to be a contending team in the AFC. But that is my NFL Week 8 game summary. My NFL Week 8 game summaries and the biggest headlines that have transpired during the NFL season during Week 8.